folks, thanks for tuning in for another video. We are going back in time a little bit. Well, I guess not really back in time. We're just bringing back something that I haven't done for a while. And I have a new submission from CGC that just got returned to me last week. It has been, since pre-pandemic, 2019 was the last time I submitted anything to CGC. I believe it was directly to them. I don't believe I sent anything. Actually, maybe I did send some books through signings, either at like local shops or a convention, because 2019 was the last time we had any type of show. So I think just before COVID, that probably was the last time I got any type of CGC books back. I didn't really want to send anything for 2020 and most of 2021 for a few reasons. Now, I know a lot of people have been really disappointed with CGC as of late, and I don't entirely agree with a lot of those issues, partly because so many of the issues are either coming from new people who don't understand the wait times or the grading issues per se. You know, they'll say, oh, my book was a 9.8 and it came back a 5. Well, did you look through your book? Did you see the tears and stains and damages, or did you just look at the cover? Because a lot of times people will say, this looks like a 9.8. Well, there's a lot more to just the cover, the front and back cover. And, you know, especially in the Facebook groups, people will post pictures of every corner, and although everything on the outside will look like a 9.8 candidate, once you go through that book, whether you or a grader, there can be a huge array of issues that really bring down those grades. So that seems to be the majority of complaints. The other set of complaints are from people waiting on their books that have sent in for signings. Now, I completely appreciate all the signings that CGC has been putting on in the last year, but even I, a huge CGC supporter and fan, will admit they are taking on a little bit more than they can handle. It's just signing after signing after signing. On one hand, it is a great opportunity for so many artists and creators and writers who either don't make the convention circuit or haven't been able to because of COVID. But on the other hand, it's just so many books that are being stacked up and delayed and backlogged that I completely understand that side of it. But if I'm sending those in, and especially after a while when there's been so many signings and so many delays going on, I won't be getting mad because I already know what to expect, or at least I should know what to expect with everything going on. Now, there's also a whole other spectrum of a range of issues where people are getting slabs that are cracked and damaged and hairs inside. That I think is completely unacceptable. Of course, I will say, being the devil's advocate, CGC isn't the only company that has those types of issues. Of course, it does seem more prevalent in the last year or so because I've been submitting for well over 10 years at this point, and in all, hundreds of slabs I've submitted, or even that I've just bought already graded books, I've only ever had one actual issue of a damaged or a cracked slab that I just sent back and they replaced it for the reslab fee. Or actually, no, you know what, they didn't even charge a fee because it was their fault for sending it cracked, or if it got cracked in shipment, whatever it may have been. A lot of people aren't really taking the proper routes to rectify their issues, and they're just complaining on social media and not actually reaching out to CGC to figure out what might have been going on. So with that, like I said, these are the first books I have submitted since pre-COVID. I did send these to Chris, the comic book presser. I'll put all his links down below. He pressed and cleaned these. Of course, I'll be talking about this too, but I had no idea what these grades were beforehand, and overall, I didn't get any issues with them. That's the other issue too I will mention, that a lot of books have been coming back as people are saying that the corners are crushed and damaged and there's tears and rips and this and that. It's incredibly difficult. We want to believe those people, but it's incredibly difficult to believe them when they have no evidence of that happening beforehand. A lot of people don't take pictures, which I understand you shouldn't have to, but the moment those books leave your home, they enter that packaging, that box, they're sent off through USPS, UPS, FedEx, whatever it may be. The moment they leave your hands, anything can happen. With all the storms going on, the packages could have been drenched in water and get damaged. Packages can be thrown. Even if you are a master packer and protect and foam up and bubble wrap and tape and everything, they can still get damaged because some shippers or some handlers just don't care and really do just trash these packages. I've seen it from packages I've received, from those I've sent, And a lot of times, you do get lucky. You have people that do handle your stuff, your items with care, and you won't have to worry about that. But the moment those books leave your hands, you don't know what can happen to those books. So you can't entirely blame CGC or any grading company for that, for damages that may have been caused in transit, may have already been there that you either ignored or didn't notice, or you did notice and knew about it but tried to get away with it. Or it is entirely possible that CGC or any grading company did damage those books as well, because they're human, they make errors, and it is really hard to pinpoint that. So anyway, a lot we can talk about, but this is just my experience. So let me go ahead and set up these books. We'll get a closer look at them. And did CGC screw up my shipment? Did anything go wrong? What's gonna happen with these? So let's take a look. So here are the 3 books that I submitted. I initially sent these books to Chris, the comic book presser, back in February to get them pressed and cleaned. And although I didn't have any idea of what the grades were, or maybe I did, I know typically when I buy raw books from Torpedo Comics, they are very good at putting either pretty accurate or really good range of grades for their books. Like, let's say for instance the Action Comics 385, if I had bought it from them at a 7.5, there's a high chance that book would come back at a 7.5 or a 7 or an 8. They're really close in that range, and all the raw books I have bought from them, they are always either spot on or maybe just barely off, and once you get a press and clean, of course that bumps the grade up. Unfortunately, I don't have any idea of how these grades were beforehand, but I do know, like many have been complaining, that none of my books had any crunches or crunch corners or rips or tears, anything major that you would then see in the encapsulation or in the slabs, as a lot have been complaining about coming back to them. I believe they were sent to CGC in April, and now we are November 1st. I actually got this the last week of October, so April to October, 6 months. That has typically been the turnaround time in the past. I think the fastest I've ever gotten books back, maybe 4 months, maybe 3 months, but 6 months is pretty average, and I know a lot of people have been waiting even longer if they send for cleaning or pressing through CGC or all their exclusive signing. I think it's been 8-10 months for some people, but I wasn't in a rush to get these books back, so I'm happy. No complaints there. And let's get a closer look at each of these books. This is Action Comics number 295 from 1962. It did come in at a 4.0 with off-white pages. I think look absolutely beautiful, clearer front, no Newton rings. Try to get that out of the light so you can see it better. So everything looks good, nothing loose in the case. The corners are all sharp, the label is intact. No hairs. Actually, what is that? Nope, that was on the outside of the cover, don't have to worry about that. Everything looks good here. Next up is Action Comics number 385. I am a huge fan, and actually, as you saw with, I forgot to mention, with the Action 295, whenever Superman has like these Kryptonian chains or just any type of chain, and especially kind of giving a nod to the Superman Unchained series by Jim Lee, Scott Snyder, and all of them, well, that Unchained series gives a nod to all the past stories and art. I just love that concept of him being an unchained hero. You know, nothing really holds him back. Even if it's Kryptonian chains or Kryptonite chains, I should say. That makes Superman so great, in my opinion, that it's not his pure strength, his bodily strength or powers that he has. It's the will and determination to break free of those, any type of restraints that are on him, whether it's physical, mental, emotional, whatever it may be. This did come in at 8.0 with the white pages. Another beautiful slab, labels intact. And last but not least, World's Finest Comics number 198 from 1970. This is the third Superman vs. Flash race. I love these Superman and Flash covers and the different types of races that they are taking part in. This was graded at 4.5 with off-white 2 white pages. This is just such a fantastic and classic cover. I mean, it's for any Superman or DC fan. A little interesting horizontal ad on the back. Like I mentioned, no crunched corners, no added tears or damages to the books, nothing wrong in the slabs themselves or with the slabs. All my books came back in great shape as far as I can tell from whatever they were beforehand. 2 of them were pretty low grades. You know, we had the 4.0 and the 4.5, but then we had the 8.0 as well. All the slabs are beautiful, no hairs, no cracks, no Newton rings, no water, nothing. All the seals are perfect. Yeah, I'm happy with this shipment, happy with this submission. I don't know when I'll be sending any more. I don't know what raw books I do have left, but I know there are Comic-Cons coming back and they're in full swing. Hopefully 2021 we can get back to, or 2022 I should say, we can get back to WonderCon and San Diego Comic-Con and everything else going on. So maybe I'll be submitting more then. But if you do have any questions or comments or just anything you want to criticize, I'm all ears, go for it. You know, you can share that in the thread. If you are new to CGC or just grading comics in general, definitely leave your comments down below. I will do my best to answer any of your questions. Even though I am a huge fan and supporter of CGC, I do accept their flaws. I am as transparent as I can be. If there's an issue, I'm going to call them out. I'm going to say it and I'm going to respond to it. I'm not going to be completely biased and play one-sided. I will offer a devil's advocate aspect to it and perspective, but I will also make sure to point out, you know, the issues and the faults and the problems going on. But here, if I have no problems or issues, you know, there's no reason for me to make up lies and say anything that isn't going on. With that, thank you all for watching. Be sure to like my video, subscribe to my channel, and stay tuned for future videos.